There are 4 things that I could talk about nonstop. That's photography, the Beatles, baking, and musical theater. So since this is such a big part of who I am, I wanted to mix in some talk about musicals and combine it with baking. So today, I'm talking about baking on Broadway. Hey guys! I need to come up with a fun name for my listeners. Islanders, dessert lovers, cookie monsters, I don't know. Welcome back to the Dessert Island podcast. And if this is your first time here, thanks for stopping by and listening. And if you are returning, thanks for coming back. I've got a fun episode for you today. It's just me again, but I will be nerding out today and combining 2 of my favorite things, musicals and baking. But first, I've got to nerd out about a new recipe that's on my blog this week. This one is for everyone like me who can't wait for pumpkin spice season to officially start at the end of this month, and for everyone else to roll their eyes at and wait until fall actually starts next month. White chocolate chip pumpkin cookies. It's also perfect because National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day just passed on Monday. I am a self-declared basic white girl, so I love everything pumpkin flavored. I wanted to create these cookies that not only had a great pumpkin spice flavor, but I wanted cookies that had the perfect texture. I've always preferred softer chocolate chip cookies, but these are soft in the middle with a little bit of chewiness around the edges. And I created a homemade pumpkin pie spice that's got a beautiful blend of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, allspice, and cloves. It's way better than the store-bought pumpkin pie spice. And you probably already have all of these spices in your cupboard right now, so there's no need to go out and buy anything extra. All of your friends, your neighbors, your kids, your neighbors' kids, they're going to love these cookies. And you can find the recipe on the Dessert Island food blog. The link is in the episode description, as always. And if you are enjoying these episodes, rate, comment, subscribe, tell me what your favorite dessert is, and let's talk about food. I love talking about food and meeting new people. Now, there are 4 things that I could talk about nonstop. That's photography, the Beatles, baking, and musical theater. If you listened to my first episode, I talked about how I wanted to be an actress since I was 8 years old, but my love of musicals started before that. My mom loves musicals, and she would watch some of the classics like Singing in the Rain, Oklahoma, and Fiddler on the Roof. So I got hooked at a very young age. Musicals showed me that where just talking fails, music and lyrics can step in and be their own form of expression. And there are so many musicals that hit me emotionally more than a regular drama ever could. I also got to be in some musicals throughout middle school and high school. And just last year, I got a supporting role in a college production of Anything Goes. So since this is such a big part of who I am, I wanted to mix in some talk about musicals and combine it with baking. So today, I'm talking about baking on Broadway. There are 3 shows that I'm going to be talking about today that have baking or food at the center of the plot. The first one on my list is Waitress the Musical. It's based on the 2007 movie Waitress, and that starred Carrie Russell. You may know her from the show Felicity, and Nathan Fillion, who you may know from the shows Castle or Firefly. The music and lyrics are by the amazing Sarah Bareilles, who wrote and sang the 2007 hit Love Song. The story revolves around Jenna, who works at a pie shop, and she's in a bad marriage. She finds out one day that she's expecting, and she's less than thrilled about becoming a mom. She has a new male doctor who just came to town that she finds herself confiding in. And Jenna likes to get lost in her work. She's always developing and making new pies with interesting flavor combinations. She finds out one day that there is a big pie baking competition that she's going to enter so she can get enough money for her and her baby to leave her messy marriage. I watched the original movie a long time ago, but I just watched the professionally shot or pro shot musical this weekend. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. The storyline was never one of my favorites, but the music is very well written. It's entertaining. There's lots of funny moments, and the story flows very nicely. I love how they staged it too. The moments when Jenna starts envisioning the pies she's going to create are choreographed beautifully. The show starts out with just very simple lyrics of sugar, butter, flour, and in a haunting echo throughout the performance hall, and that reoccurs throughout the whole musical. So I love how that ties everything together. And what resonated the most with me is how baking was seen as an emotional expression of Jenna. She used it as a creative outlet, an escape from her current circumstances, and as a way to bring people together, which are all the reasons that I love to bake. So they really nailed down that aspect of being a creator and an artist, which I loved. If you want to watch Waitress, you can find it on HBO Max, or you can buy or rent it on Google, YouTube, or Apple TV. Now, this next musical is one of my all-time favorites. If it's not my favorite musical, it's a close second. It changed the way I viewed musical theater, and I will always remember the very first time I discovered it. I'm talking about Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. If you are not familiar with this musical, it made its Broadway debut in 1979. The music and lyrics are by the great Stephen Sondheim, and the original cast had Angela Lansbury, who went on to do Murder, She Wrote, and Victor Garber. He did a lot of Broadway shows like Godspell, and he went on to be in movies like Titanic. It's had 3 Broadway revivals. Try saying that 3 times fast. Hang on, I've got to get like my spooky voice on to describe the plot of this musical. It is set in London in 1785. Sweeney Todd has just escaped from prison with the help of a young sailor named Anthony, and he's back in London to get revenge against a corrupt judge and his beadle, who sent him away for no other reason than to steal his wife away from him. And she was abandoned alone with their baby daughter. When he visits his old home, an apartment over a bakery on Fleet Street, where he used to work as a barber, he teams up with the failing bakery's owner and his old friend, Mrs. Lovett. Together, they form a dark plan that will quench Sweeney Todd's thirst for revenge while saving the bakery. I wrote that myself. There are so many things I love about this show. Sondheim is my favorite composer, so from a musical theory perspective, it's a masterpiece. He manages to capture the chaos of the plot and transcribe that into music. The characters are well written. It's definitely violent and dark, which I had no idea that a musical could be. Like I said, I grew up watching Oklahoma, Grease, Sound of Music, and Singing in the Rain, where there was always a happy ending and nothing got too serious. I guess Sound of Music got a little serious, but this was not that at all, and I loved it. You know, so many people think of musicals as a genre of storytelling, So it gets lumped in with comedies or romance, but it's not a genre, it's a medium. It's a way in which stories can be told. So you can have a horror musical like Sweeney Todd, or you can have a romantic musical like La La Land. Now, the baking aspect of the show is more of a B plot than the central plot. But what I admire the most about Mrs. Lovett is that she's a creative businesswoman who will do whatever it takes to make it all work, including putting some very questionable ingredients into her pies. And she teams up with another local businessman to get things going. There are some fantastic songs that center around her baking pies. There's songs like The Worst Pies in London, A Little Priest, and God, That's Good. All really fun songs. But what's really fun is how I listen to this when I bake my own pies in the kitchen. It's just so funny to me. If you've never seen this or listened to it, and you're okay with a horror musical that's a little gory, I highly recommend Sweeney Todd. There's a movie adaptation that stars Johnny Depp. That came out in about 2007. There's a pro shot version of the original Broadway show. And there's also a Sweeney Todd in concert production, which is the first version I saw. And that stars Patti LuPone and Neil Patrick Harris. You can also listen to one of the many recordings of the soundtrack on your favorite music streamer. Okay, this last musical, I just found out about. I haven't seen it because sadly it only ran on the West End in London for a few months in 2023. And it's a musical that's based on the Great British Baking Show. It's called The Great British Bake Off Musical. And I've only been able to find some trailers and a few promo videos showing some of the songs, but the soundtrack is available on streaming, and I really want to check it out soon. That might be my next listening project while I work this week. There's not much about the plot anywhere online, but they have actors playing Paul Hollywood and Dame Prue Leith. I assume that they each get at least one song. And maybe some of the contestants have songs about their journey to the baking tent. Either way, it looks amazing. And I hope that they can get a revival someday soon so I can check it out. I absolutely love the Great British Baking Show. And it's so awesome to see that there's somebody out there who loves it even more than I do, that they created a full-blown musical out of it. I'm done nerding out for now. I could talk for days about musicals and Sondheim. So for me to come on here and geek out with you all has been such a relief to my husband because he doesn't have to listen to me talk about this for the 100th time. I'll be back next week with another episode. Take care, everyone.